Good morning, everybody.
Morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning.
Good mornings. I hope you can all hear me.
Yes.
Okay. Let's get started. I think today we are really late. So I want us to do a lab. Specifically, we want to do a lab on virtual local area networks, or what are called VLANs. Is what we want to concentrate on. But maybe just before I start, you'll find in Blackboard in week 8, you'll find this lab. That is lab number 5. That's what it's labeled. So you might be wondering what happened to 4. So there's a lab number 4, and it's a lab that I want you to complete. And actually, I think I should share that also, so we all know what you need to do. So let me get lab 4. Right, yeah. So this lab number 4. I hope you can see it on your machines. This one is work for you to complete. All right, is to complete. The design is down here. This one here. There are a number of subnets, and we also have a bridge because I want us to know how to use bridges. Okay, so it's about subnetting, routing, as well as using a bridge. So there's one here. So if you check. So this is Ethernet 1. This is one network, Ethernet 1, the one on top. This is Ethernet 2. This is Ethernet 3. And this is Ethernet 4. Now, Ethernet 3 and 4 are actually the same network. So if you check, the first 3, it's a /20 network, both of them. So the number of bits we're using to identify the network are the same. And they have exactly the same pattern. So it's actually the same network. However, we're using a bridge to filter packets to stay. For example, if say host E needs to talk another host on the same network, there's no point of those packets crossing over to this other side, which will be the case for a normal network. So the bridge will do the filtering. All right. We had learned about how bridges work, so you'll see how it actually how it actually works within this lab. Okay, so this is really what you're doing. This is what you're doing. I think there's a minor correction here you need to do. This one here, that all reference to /16 in router 1 and router 2, all right, in the tables below, they should actually read /18. So when you're doing the actual work, you replace /16 with /18 in router 1 and 2. That is this table here, table 1 and table 2. You'll see there's a /16 here, this one here, and there is this /16 here. So reference that as /18. Okay, that's /18. So essentially, that is what you need to do. And of course, you submit as usual, right? All the different things that we need for purposes of submission. All right. So that is that. And you'll find this in Blackboard. I think you have a week, actually 10, I think you have how many? 9 days, all right? 9 days you'll be able to have completed this by 12th March. Okay, yeah, but the focus is on VLANs. So to do that, I want to introduce VLANs with a couple of slides. So you can get your own copy. You can download that also from Blackboard in week 8, as well as in labs and assignments. So let's have this back. Yes. Now, what are virtual local area networks? VLANs, as they are called. So basically, as the name suggests, the V in the LAN suggests it's actually local area networks, but we are creating them. We are imposing some virtuality on them. And what we mean by that is you can have a single physical network, but we split that network into virtual networks. So the way the virtual network will behave is like a normal network. Okay, only that we actually have to configure, or if you like, we have to define it by software. Sometimes they're called software-defined networks. Okay, software-defined networks. So let me just show you, then I'll come back. Imagine you got one switch like this one. What we know so far is that we use a switch to create a single network. But in our case, we're actually creating, in this particular example, two separate networks on a single switch. We go to another switch, we create another two networks on the same switch. All right. But the thing is, we connect the two switches without having to go through a router. Okay. And the network on the left, for example, the yellow network, maybe you might call it orange, the orange network and the orange network on the right-hand side talk to each other. Okay. They see each other, they talk to each other. So the nodes or hosts that you find on the right-hand side on the other switch, right? And the hosts, the brown hosts on that, they actually belong to the same network. In fact, we say they belong to the same VLAN. Okay. The green network, which is we are calling VLAN Y on one switch, and the green network on the other switch is yet another network. Okay, same network, but they're sitting on two separate switches. Okay, so switches, and because of the way we have connected the switch, they're able to talk to each other. Please note, the brown cannot talk to the greens. They are completely distinct networks. We are using software to define those two as separate networks, and they cannot talk to each other. Why do we do this? Well, one is security. In fact, the key reason is security. So you might find maybe it's a small office. They don't want to buy, many switches, or even if they do, they want to separate different departments. Different departments belong to separate virtual local area networks. So, for example, you might find this is human resources. The orange is human resources, and the green is say accounts. Okay, it's accounts. Say it's USIU, and they want to they're sitting in the same. They could be sitting in the same room, right? They're sharing the same office, say open office area, all right? And yet we have created two separate networks on the same switch. Okay, on the same switch. So this example shows the case of having two switches. If I drop the right-hand switch, okay, and we only create the brown and the green on one switch, okay, it is still two separate networks, two separate VLANs, meaning the green, say those are accounts, the accounts people are talking to each other, all right, on this switch, and the HR people are talking to each other, but you cannot have both of them sharing across. So you may find, for example, the VLAN Y, there's a server, maybe the middle node is a server that keeps secrets of accounts people, finance and accounts people, all right? And there's another server on the left-hand side belonging to that other network, all right? So that they put all their documents and other things on that server, okay? In terms of implementing, when we connect the ports that we use on the switch, this is just a normal switch, the switches that we've been using, okay? But now we label the switches differently. First of all, like I told you, we have to configure them, okay? Or if you like, define, using software, we define how those ports should behave, all right? Now we call those ports edge ports. The ports that we use to connect hosts, we call them edge ports. Okay, so there's an example of 3 edge ports on the left, 3 edge ports on the right for that switch. Okay, and then we use what we call trunk ports to connect different switches. Like in this case, the switch on the left and the one on the right, we use say a single port. Let's say, for example, port number 1, port 1 on the switch on the right, and port 1, the switch on the left and right. We connect those two with just a normal. We just we use if you like, not the straight through cable. Okay, the other type of cable, the crossover cable. All right, to connect those two. Now there's a protocol that we use. It's called 802.1q trunking port, the trunking protocol. All right, to enable us to implement virtual LANs. Okay. Anyway, so you can see flames coming from left and right, and we call them tagged flames. Okay, because the color code implies the network they belong to. They are traveling along the same medium, just a single cable, all right? But each flame knows the VLAN it belongs to, all right? The VLAN it belongs to. All right, so those are the basics. Okay, so you know about what edge ports are, all right? And why we use them. We call them virtual LANs. Tagging, I've explained, right? Is that concept of, in quotes, coloring frames so that they belong to specific VLANs, right? And trunking, carrying traffic, multiple traffic on a single link, okay? On a single link. Now, this is another example. This one has three VLANs: the red, green, and blue VLANs on the left switch and on the right switch. So each of those is a distinct network. Distinct network. So again, right? You know, the red could be library, the green could be say HR, the blue could be accounts, right? And they are sharing those resources. Now the question then arises: suppose there's a genuine reason, why, for example, you would want the red network to talk to the green network. Yeah, you know, it's possible that even with security, you might want separate VLANs to talk to each other. What we then need to do is actually to do the normal thing we do of routing networks, okay, routing networks. They will appear like they are different networks, but now we do routing. So we now introduce a router and then configure the router. In other words, define it with software, all right, so that it knows that these are not physical. They're not physical LANs, they're actually virtual LANs, okay? So we create what's called a router on a stick, okay, which is there's an example here on this slide. So we have one switch, there's a VLAN X and a VLAN Y on the right hand side, okay? We use a router, but then we have a special name for it. We call it a half router, a half router, or also call it a router on a stick. A router on a stick. Why? Because there's only this single connector. What we know, or what we've been using so far with routers, when you want to connect distinct networks, is actually to have, for example, VLAN X going to its own interface, the other LAN going to its own interface. Okay, for example, interface 0/0 on the left, and interface 0/1 on the right. But that's not not what we are doing. We take a single port on the router, let's say 00, the 0/0 port. We plug in this cable. Okay, we plug in the cable as normal. Okay, straight through cable. All right, and then maybe we use port number 1 as a trunk on this router. Sorry, on the switch, and then we have tagged frames coming across. Now, what does that mean? We will configure the router. We will tell it there is actually what we call we call them sub interfaces. Right? We still need to create two interfaces, but they are virtual on the router. So, for example, we will create, for example, if you're using the 0/0 here as a port, we can create two sub interfaces. One called 0/0.1. That is one interface. You connect maybe say to the brown, and then the other interface 0/0.2. We connect it to the green. What do we mean by connect to the green? It means we configure it so that the .1 the IP address, we give it an IP address that belongs to the orange packets, and the other one, the .2, we give it an IP address that belongs to the green. Okay, to the green. So what happens then is the greens will come, they will go to that particular port belonging to them. Okay, then the router, because we still need to configure the normal RIP as we do. It will then route packets. It's like converting greens become brown. The normal way, it has to go to layer 3, all right, and create new frames. Remember the concept we talked about, that we need to create and destroy frames in layer 3. So we still need to do that. All right, we We still need to do that. Yeah, so anyway, so to do the routing so that they come here out here as green, but when they are coming down, they come as brown, so that the green can talk to the, the green can talk to the brown. Okay, so we do that, and we'll see how we do the the configuring. Yeah, all right. This is about tagging, so I don't have to say too much about that. So tagging means we tag flame. It's like we think of it as coloring. Yeah, we color the frames so that they belong to a specific LAN. There are some that are not tagged there. Okay, so for example, let me just go back here to explain the concept again. It is possible that we may designate one port on the VLAN to be accessible by everybody. These two and any other networks that are beyond this router. For example, for doing network management. Okay. For example, you want to know the health of the network, and therefore you want to create a normal port. Okay, a normal port, so that packets can come from anywhere, flames can come from anywhere. So, for example, this switch can report its health by running, for example, something called SNMP. We will not get into that. It's about network management, a simple network management protocol. Okay, and what happens is smart devices, run that program in the background, right? Collecting data about that particular device. Okay, about power, temperature, when it's if it's about to go off and so on. Right, and they periodically report to the network server. Okay, so we can use untagged frames that are not tagged, all right, to access the health issues about this switch, right? That switch. Anyway, so that is what that is about. So let's see how we do the configuring. Okay, so that the switch can then enable us create virtual runs. So we decide, for example, on one switch, we say we're going to give it say a number of ports that belong to one VLAN. That is the edge ports, and then the other ports to belong to the other VLAN. So, for instance, let's say we designate port number 5 up to 14 as belonging to one VLAN, right? And say port 15 up to 24 as belonging to the other VLAN on the same switch. Okay, so how do we then make it understand that it's actually supporting two separate VLANs? We go to config as normal. Okay, start your switch. You enable, give it the password if you already enabled the password protection. All right. Then you do config T, and then you get to this config mode, and then you issue this command there. All right. Interface range FA0 slash. Okay, FA0 slash. So this is of course for fast Ethernet. If it's just normal Ethernet, if it's If it's fast Ethernet, then you have to change this to gigabit. Right, gigabit Ethernet 0 slash. Then so 5 is a port, and this is the range from 5 up to 14. So this is the way we do it. So if you do that, you'll see the mode changes here. Config interface range. Config IF range means config interface range. That is the new mode of configuration. All right, and then we issue this command there. We want to make all these ports 5 up to 14, to become edge ports. Okay, to become edge ports, and also to tell you which VLAN they belong to. Okay, so in this case we are calling this VLAN 10. All right, so we issue the command switch port access VLAN 10. Okay, switch port access VLAN 10. Then we get out. Exit means you go to the parent mode of this, which is config. So it takes you back to config. Then you go to the other port 15 up to 24. So again, we issue interface range FA0 15 to 24. All right, and then make that another VLAN. In this case, it's VLAN 20. Using numbers to describe the VLAN. So we have VLAN 10, VLAN 20. In this illustration, right? And then you can get out. You can do exit, or you can do Control Z. All right, to get out. Now, This last portion here, you don't have to do this to give it an IP address. We actually don't need this, so you can actually ignore the lower portion there, the lower portion of that slide there. It's not necessary. Yeah? So the most important are these 6 or so lines, right? 6 or so lines to configure the switch. Okay, to configure the switch. Now the next thing, so what we've seen is these are edge ports. Now how do we configure trunk ports? Okay, so that you can, for example, say implement say a network management, right? Network management, management network. Okay, so we do that by doing the normal thing. You go to config as usual on your switch. These are switch on your switch, and then we go to the specific port that you want to. Suppose we want to create the port number 0/1 as a trunk port. So we do that, right? It changes to config interface, and then we issue this command: switch port mode trunk. All right, switch port mode trunk, and then we need to carry. We need to carry. Encapsulated what you call trunking, right? Trunking. So we issue this command: switch port trunk encapsulation.1q. This is what I showed you a bit earlier, the IEEE .1q protocol. So we make sure we tell it that it needs to learn this protocol. Okay. So please note, this may be optional. This portion here may be optional on some if you're not going to use a trunk on a port. Okay, on a port. So please do note that. Please do note that. Okay. Now the other issue is how can we connect two VLANs? They talk to each other using a half router. So this is how we configure the half router. Okay. So on the router, right, the router on a stick, this is what we do. We do enable as before. When you get to the router prompt, you do config T as usual, or config terminal, you get that mode, and then you go to the specific port that you want to create sub-interfaces. So let's say we are configuring 00 interface. So 00 is the one we have connected to. Remember, when you connect the actual cable, you have connected to a specific port, right? Either 0/0 or 0/1 and so on. So this assumes you have connected. We want to connect to the port 0/0. So on that port, we create the first sub-interface on it, 0.1, right? Interface fast Ethernet, or in short, FA 0/0.1. Okay. This changes the configuration mode changes to this config sub interface. Instead of saying config IF, right, it becomes config sub interface, because that's a sub interface on the router. Okay, and then we issue this command encapsulation.1q, and then we tell it which VLAN it belongs to. So this one is saying 10. So let's say to be specific, let's say we take this as 20. So that would mean, because we use 20 on the other side for consistency. So that means the port 00, well, the sub-interface 0.0.1 belongs to the VLAN 20. That's really what it means. And then we give it an IP address. When you're still there, we give that sub-interface an IP address. So for example, this is an IP address we're giving, right? And this is its mask. This is part of the same line. As 172.25.2.4, and then 255 3 times. It's a /24, right? It's a /24. Okay. And when you're done, you get out. When you're done, you get out. I think those are the key points, the key things that we need to you need to know, so as to be able to configure VLANs correctly, virtual LANs correctly. So let's now go and please start your Cisco packet tracer. Okay, start your packet tracer, because we're going to create our first VLAN. Right. Oh, let me just show this. This is eventually what you need to do. I've shown this, but let me share that again. Eventually, this is a lab you need to complete. This is a lab you need to complete. So the first portion, if you look at it, is configuring configuring a switch so that it's supporting two VLANs. All right, there's a VLAN 2, there's a VLAN 3, yeah? All right, there's a VLAN 3 on it. Yeah, anyway, so you can see we're using port 3 up to 12 for one VLAN, okay? All right, switch, and what I was talking about, switch port mode access, and the specific VLAN sitting on that range is VLAN 2, okay? Similarly, port 13 to 24 is sitting on, yeah, is the other VLAN 3, that one there, all right? And then you get out, And then the trunk ports, we are configuring this range, that is a port 1 and 2, port 0/1 and 0/2 on the switch as trunk ports, right? And they need to pass VLANs. Sorry, they need to pass VLANs 2 and 3, yeah, VLANs 2 and 3. So the allowed VLANs are these two, on those two trunks. Okay, so I think that is that. There's of course there's a bit here about the half router, but I think we'll get there. When you're doing the router, we'll do that support to connect the two VLANs. So that's what you need to do. You will create this, and then you will complete these and submit. All right. You will create eventually. You will create these VLAN. These two VLANs X and Y, sitting on two separate switches. You use a half router to interconnect them, and make sure that they talk to each other. Okay, so I think let's now get your packet tracer going. Okay, so we actually do see this, how this works together. You see how this works together. So if you get your, I hope you can see. No, I've not shared. Have I shared this? I'm not sure. Let me share. Yeah, let me share this. Okay, so what we're going to do is to create, we'll create a VLAN 10, a VLAN 20 on one switch, all right, on one switch, and make sure that VLAN 10, the nodes on one VLAN are talking to each other, and the nodes on the other VLAN are talking to each other. Once you're satisfied with that, we'll then try and make them talk to each other close by configuring a half router, right? A half router to see how this works. Okay, so let's do it. All right. So first thing, of course, is to have your switch. So go to network devices, right there, down there on sub menu down there. Locate switches. Okay. Let's say we want to use. By the way, I hope everybody is hearing me clearly. I'm not talking to myself. Are we all good?
Yes, sir. We're with you.
All right. We are all together,
Yes, sir. We're good.
Okay, great. Right. So let's get a switch here. Let's say we use this first one, 2960. Just to remind ourselves, this is a 24-port switch. Michelle and Friday wants to come in. Just give me a second. Hello, Abdul. Yeah, Yusuf, how are you?
I'm good, sir.
You are joining us now. This is a 40-minute, almost 50 minutes late.
No, I'm logging in from another device so I can do the lab. I was already in. I'm in with two devices, so this is my second device I'm logging in from.
Okay, I get you. I get you. Then we have There's another person, two other persons who came. Friday, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
You just joined us. What's happening?
Yes, sir. I just joined. Yes, sir. I didn't have power.
Okay.
This is my first time actually. I'm very late like this.
Okay, all right.
But I'm here now, sir.
The other person who just joined, I think, is Emanuela. Emanuela just joined us. Emanuela, how are you?
You can check my name.
It's not you. It's not you. It's not you. It's another person. I'm sorry. I'm trying to see who the other person was.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's Bonvita. Bonvita, good morning. Good morning. I can't get the name. There were three people who just came in just now. Anyway, let's just continue. Yeah, so please make sure that your names are on the chat on the chat line. Make sure that you put in attendance to indicate you started with us at the beginning. All right, so we have this switch. So let's configure it so that it can support two virtual LANs. Just remind ourselves. You look at the physical, how the switch looks like, physically. If you go here, and let's say we magnify this. Let's say we zoom out. Zoom in a bit. Yeah, this is physically how the switch looks like. All right, this is how physically how the switch looks like. Just a second. Sorry, I'm just configuring something here. I'll be with you. Controls. Okay. Anyway, yeah. So these are the 24 ports of our switch. So what we'll do, we'll make port number 1 and 2. Let's assume the first 2 ports. These will be trunk ports, which means they can carry normal traffic as regular networks. Those 2 will not be VLANs. They will be local area networks. They will be LANs, not VLANs. And then the rest, starting from port number 3 up to 24, those will be VLANs. Then what we'll do, we'll pick port 3, say up to 12. Port 3 to 12 will be one VLAN, VLAN 10. And then port 13 up to 24 will be VLAN 20. That's what we want to do. Okay, that's what we want to do. Okay, so we need to go to the command line interface to enable us do this. Okay, so first thing is to enable the switch. Okay, we get this, and then we need to be in the configuration mode. So we do config terminal, config T, or in full, config the terminal, so that we can start doing the configuration. Okay. All right. Now we want to go to the sub interfaces. Okay, the sub interfaces. So what you'll do, I can flash this. You'll use this. We'll use these things I showed you here to do that. So the first thing you need to do is to go to this range, but we'll do from port number 3 up to, let's say, 13. Let's say we use 3 to 13. So we do interface range 3 to 13, and that will be that will be VLAN 10. That will be VLAN 10. So if you can get back here to the CLI mode. Okay. So we do interface range. We specify which ports. Interface, and the range is FA. Please note, if the ports are not running at 100, they're running at 1,000, you give us an error, right? And then you have to go and specify that they are gigabit, not fast Ethernet. They are gigabit. It's gigabit Ethernet. So FA 0/ we start from port 3 up to port 12. Okay, like that. Yeah, it accepts, which means these are running at. Of course, you can get it from here. The way of course, if you go here and then look at the interfaces, they tell you what type. So these are fast Ethernet ports. Okay. So that's the first thing. The next thing you do is to issue this next command, this one here, right? You should be having your own copy. You should be having your own copy. Make sure that you've opened your own copy of the documents, the files they give you. So switch port and the access is VLAN 10. That's what you need. All right. So you do that here on CLI. Go back here, and you need to be in the CLI mode. Let me expand this. So you do switch port. This is access, it's not trunk. Double C access, and the VLAN is 10. The VLAN is 10. So please pay attention. Let me just highlight this. Pay attention to what the switch is telling you, and what's happening. It tells you that the VLAN did not exist before. It has just created one. All right, it just created the VLAN. Okay, let's create the VLAN. All right, so that's that. Now we are done. We are done with the first 12 ports. Well, port 3 to 12. So let's get out. So issue the exit command like that. We now want to go to the other range. Okay, so you do interface. The range is FA starting from FA0/13 up to 24. So that is the next set of the edge ports that we want to create. The other VLAN 20. We call it VLAN 20. So we do that. Okay. Then we do switch ports. And these are access ports, and the VLAN sitting on them is VLAN 20. Is VLAN 20. Space. We need space between VLAN and 20, like that. Okay. So we do that, and then we tell it that we now have two VLANs. We have defined the edge ports on this switch such that they are able to support the two VLANs. So we can exit also from this, all right, to indicate that is that. Now, while we are doing this, let us make the other two ports. Let's make them trunk ports. Okay, so this is what we need to do. So I'll take you back to this. What you want to do is we want to issue this command. We want to make a port 0 and 1, all right, as a trunk port. All right, so we'll modify this slightly so that we do it as a range, and the range is 1 to 2. All right, and then we issue this command. All right, we issue this command. So let's do that. So go back here. So when you're still in the configuration mode, we do interface. The range is FA0, and the ports are 1 and 2. Those are the two ports that we want to make trunk ports. All right. Then we do switch ports. Right, and the mode switch port. The mode is trunk. To create trunk ports. Right. So that makes ports 1 and 2 of our switch trunk ports. So later on, for example, when we want the two VLANs to talk to each other, right now we want to separate them. Let's say we have the accounts people and the HR people. Continuing with our analogy in the USIU environment. Okay, it's possible, for example, that some of the accounts people are sitting in the admin block, and there are some who are sitting in the say the Frida Brown Student Center, and there might also be HR people still in the Frida Brown Center. So the Frida Brown Center, they are sharing the same switch, that is HR, as well as accounts. They're sharing the same switch, but you can use a trunk all the way to admin block to go to the other switch, which is connected to HR as well as accounts. But the traffic is completely separated. All right, the traffic from the two different departments are completely separated. Anyway, so we now have that, those two as trunks. So let's now connect devices and give them IP addresses for the two networks. Okay, the two. So we come here, we go to end user devices. Let's say we connect. This is VLAN 10 on the left. Let's say there is that. There is a laptop. Okay, let's just use a server. All right. So we then connect this PC belonging to say HR person. This is the orange. Okay. Now, please note, you cannot connect it to port 1. All right. Why? Because port 1 is a trunk port. I cannot connect it to port 2 again because that's a trunk port. I can start from port number 3. Okay. We will start from port number 3. All right. So we go there. We go to port number 3 and connect. We do the same for the server. The server, we connect the server with a normal UTP cable, right, and connect to port number 4. Okay, meaning they are in the same VLAN. Okay. All right. Let's now go and connect the green network, the account people. Let's connect the account people, end user devices, and drag and drop, say, a PC here. This one belongs to an account person, and maybe a laptop also belongs to an account person. This is a green network, right? We then connect, go and get a connector, a UTP cable. Connect this, the fast Ethernet. Can someone tell me which port I'll connect to? I'm not talking about the next network.
5.
Which one? Which port?
Port number 5.
5.
Port number 5. And this is the other network.
What is the other network?
Oh, sorry. 13.
14. 13 or 14.
13.
Great. Yeah. So So this next one starts from 13. So let's start from the first one. So 13. This is the one on the right. Is the other network. So 13, and also connect the laptop. That is the fast Ethernet port of that. Also now to the next one. So clearly this now it will be 14, right? We are all together on this. It's port number 14.
Yes. Port number 14.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Great. Yeah. So I think let's move them a bit separate so we can distinctly see. So the two on the left, extreme left, is one VLAN. And the two on the right is another VLAN. So you can think of the right hand side as the account people, all right, and the one on the left as HR people. Okay. So let's now configure these, give them IP addresses. So we start with the left network as usual. Let me admit one of your colleagues. Give me a second. Yeah, right. Yeah. So we got to the left hand side, PC 0, right? And then we configure IP address. Okay. So the usual way, go to fast Ethernet, give it an IP address. I think we can just cook up some. I'll use 10.0.0.1. 3 zeros, not 2 zeros, not 3 zeros. 10.0.0.1. We just make it a class A. Let's not complicate life. So the IP address of the PC0 is that 10.0.0.1. Okay. All right, so we can close that. We make this, the next one, as IP address. We go to config, we go to its interface, we give it a static IP address, and because it's the same network, it's 10.0.0.2, okay, with the same subnet interface, subnet mask, mask, 10.0.0.2 and 255, sorry, 255 and followed by 3 zeros, as the mask. Okay, so we have created that. So we are done. We are done with the VLAN on the left. Okay, VLAN on the left. Let's do the VLAN on the right. We'll give this IP address starting from IP address 20. All right, to distinguish it from the first one. So this will be 20.0.0.1. All right, that's IP address. So still a class A, but a different network. All right, like that. Okay, like that. Okay, so that's done. This is done for the PC1. So let's do the same for laptop. Right, we close that. We go to the laptop, and then we configure the laptop to have the IP address 20.0.0.2. You need to be in the right place. Fast Ethernet. We're not configuring gateway yet. So the interface we are configuring, and it's 20.0.0.2. Right, .2. Yeah. All right. So that is done. We need that mask there. So that is done. So we've basically configured the two VLANs. This VLAN is configured. This VLAN is configured. We can do a quick test. Let's see whether the HR people can talk to the HR people on the left, talking to left. So we'll go to PC0, and PC0 will try to ping the server. All right. So I'll go to PC0. All right. Let me put these here so that you can see the rest of the network. I go to the shell prompt. What I want to ping is network 10. Okay. Specific host 10.0.0.2. Right, because the server is configured as a .2. So if I do that, you can actually see the server is replying. Right, it's receiving the frames and echoing back those frames. All right, the server is replying. Similarly, if I go to the server, okay, and do the same, just a minute. First of all, can Ian Jonjo, can you please talk to me? How are you? Hello, Ian.
Fine, thank you, sir. How are you?
I'm good.
Yes, sir.
You have come 1 hour late, Ian.
Sorry, sir. I lost light, so I had to go to my friend's place so as not to miss this class.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry about that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Make sure that make sure that you download the PowerPoint slides that give an introduction on VLANs. Because we have finished
okay, sir,
doing the introduction. Yeah. All right. Just do that and then then there's a lab, and all those who came in also later, there's a lab number 3 that you need to complete, and lab 5, and lab 5 is what is on VLANs, it's what I'm discussing. Lab 3 is talking about routing, subnetting, as well as bridges, using a bridge. So make sure that you complete and submit within the allowed time. I think someone raised their hand. Was it Yusuf? Someone's hand was up, I'm not sure.
Yeah, it was me, but I figured it out, no problem.
Okay, great. All right. Fine. So I think we were trying to test the server to talk to the laptop. So if you go to desktop, you go to the command prompt, we want to ping 10.0.0.1. Okay. The server is .2 and it's pinging the .1, which is a PC. Yeah, and you can see the PC is replying back to the server. Now let's do this. Let's try to get the server to talk to the laptop. Meaning we're trying to get the accounts. No, the HR. The server belongs to the HR. The HR people to talk to the accounts people on the right. Okay, let's see whether that can work. Now, what did we say? the laptop is 20.0.0.2. That's how we configured it. So if you try to talk to it,
Yes.
yeah, if you try to talk to it, what happens? You can see the frames are not going across. The frames are not going across. And they never, actually they will not, even if you keep trying how long, all right? And that is because that is a different network, okay? That is a separate network. But the thing to note, of course, is that these two networks are sitting on the same switch, all right? But we are defining that switch so that it can support the two virtually, It can support the two networks virtually, okay? And therefore the name VLAN, virtual local area network, okay? So clearly now you can see we're able to do that, all right? We're able to do this. Now, before we configure the router, I want to illustrate trunking, all right, by creating another. We're going to replicate, so to speak. Let's say these people are in the admin block. Let's suppose they have their colleagues who work from the Brown Center. All right, still the same people. That is, some people from account, some people from HR, but they are sitting in the Frida Brown Center, and say the accounts people want to talk to the server, which is in the admin block, all right, which is in the admin block. Hello, Aisha.
So I have a question here.
Yes, please. Go ahead, Aisha.
How can we make the networks to talk to each other? Like the network from the other side, like laptop, cannot ping the PC or the server.
That's right. Yeah. Remember, this by design. We have designed them so that the network on the left cannot talk to the network on the right. And that's why they are called VLANs. So it is not a surprise that they are not talking to each other. But the question you're asking, how can we make them talk to each other? And the answer is, we create a half router, and we'll do that. Not just now. I want to do something fast, then you'll come back. You'll come back. Yeah, so Aisha, just hang on. We're going to do the half router, but first I want to do another switch. I illustrate the concept of trunking. There's another hand that's up. Betty, how are you?
Yeah, I'm fine, sir. I have a question.
Please go ahead.
Does it always have to be VLAN 10 and VLAN 20?
No. This is we are the ones who give them these two names. We are the ones who just designate these as 10 and 20. Yes, yeah.
It can be any other number.
Absolutely, it can be like number 5 and number 100, as long as they're different numbers. And also we can change numbers to names. And in fact, this lab you're doing, I think if I go here, you'll see it. This lab you're doing, we're actually changing. We are changing numbers to names. You can see, I think it's on the first page, so that it may be easier to, for example, here we have a VLAN that we're calling VLAN 2, but we are changing its name to data. So VLANs can also have names. These are VLAN 3, but you are changing its name to become lab work, and you'll do this so that you learn a few additional things. As you're doing this lab, make sure that you do this so that they can have names. But to answer your question, the numbers can be anything you designate, as long as you're consistent.
Okay.
Yeah, as long as you're consistent. Okay, so let's now create. So this is, we said this is sitting in the admin block in USIU. Okay, let's now go to the Frida Brown Center, Student Center, and create another set of VLANs for these two groups, the HR and the accounts. So go and grab another switch, all right? And use it, network devices. You want to grab a switch, use the first one, this one here. So this one is in the Frida Brown Center, right? And then we connect a couple of devices. The left will be, just for consistency, the left network will be HR. So we go to end user devices. So this PC belongs to HR, and maybe another, this time is a laptop belonging to HR. We we connect as usual. We connect this to fast Ethernet. So please note, we haven't configured that, but let me just connect, but we remember to be consistent. I will not use 1 and 2, because those are trunks. I'll start from 3, yeah? Right? So if you're doing this, make sure that you start from port number 3, because the range will be 3 up to 12, as we did on the left-hand side. So 3 is the first one. 3 is the first access port, or edge port, if you like. And then we do the same for the laptop. So this will connect to the next one, which is 4, right? Which is 4. Then I connect accounts. I connect end user devices for accounts. Let's say I have a PC here that belongs to accounts, and another, maybe another PC also belonging to accounts. Let's try and separate them physically for clarity. And again, we connect. We want to connect. This to the first access port for that VLAN. Again, it's starting from 13. This one will start from 13 because the HR, they are using ports 3 up to 12, and accounts are using 13 to 24. So we'll start from 13, right? And then the next one will be 14. Right? I connect this to port number 14 like that. Okay, like that. So let's first of all configure the switch. So we go to the CLI of the switch. Give it time to settle down. Press enter. Then first of all enable this switch. Okay, enable the switch. Then we configure the terminal. We configure terminal T. All right. We now want to go to the range of the ports that we want to configure. So we do interface. It's fast Ethernet. We shorten it to FA. Starting, that is FA0, starting from port number 3 up to port number 12.
You don't have to write interface range.
We do. It's like that, yeah. So it's interface range FA0, 3 up to 12. Okay, interface range, yeah, like that. So that range is now the one we want to configure. Okay, what do you want to do? We want to say that the switch, we do switch port. This one is access. Which VLAN is sitting there? This is the VLAN 10, the one on the left in the Frida Brown Center is VLAN 10. Okay, so we do that. It didn't exist. Now it has been created. That line. If you just look at that line, the VLAN did not exist, but has been created there. Then we get out. We exit, so that we can go and pick another range. Okay, and the range we now need is I'm just using shortcut, starting from 13 up to 24. Like that. Okay, interface range FA 13 up to 24. Then we do what? We want to do switch port, like as we did before. This is VLAN 20. All right, switch port access VLAN 20, like that. It didn't exist. It has been created. Again, we get out of that configuration mode. Okay. The next thing we want to do is to make port 1 and 2 trunk ports. All right, trunk ports. So again, we issue this interface, but the range is port 1 and 2. Okay, is port 1 and 2, like that. And then we want to do switch port, and the mode is trunk. Right, the mode is trunk. Right, so that means port 1 and 2 are trunk ports. So these ones will carry tagged frames, frames that have different colors, and they can travel along the same link. All right, the same link. Now, let's see whether this one accepts. I want you to do this. I want you to issue this command: switch port trunk and encapsulation.1q. Some switches refuse. If they do, I think they still work without it. But just do this. Okay. Switch port trunk and encapsulation.1q. You can just carry it. You can just carry these straight away without having to write all that. Okay. It's not, doesn't want us to do that. You can get it from here. So switch port trunk and encapsulation.1q, right? To tell it, so it's switch one, It is switch one that we want to do that, and we paste it there. So you do this command, switch port trunk and encapsulation.1q, like that. Now it doesn't like it. It doesn't like it. So just ignore this. I think it will work without it. That's what I was telling you. So just if it doesn't accept on yours, just let it go. Don't worry too much. The next thing we want to do is let's give we've given IP addresses on. So let's just do a very quick test for these two. So PC2 that belongs to HR. Let PC2 talk to PC3. So I come to the right hand side. Oh, wait a minute. We have not configured. We have not given them IP addresses. So that's the next thing we need to do. We go to config. We go to interface, fast Ethernet, and we give them. And we can't test, of course. We have not configured IP address. Let's do that. So this is IP address 10.0.0. Let's say we start from 10. Right? In other words, this one is .10. We'll make this .11. 10.0.0.10. All right, 10.0.0.10. So that is that for PC2. Then laptop 1, which still belongs to HR. Okay, the VLAN on the left-hand side, or if you like, the coloring we had is the orange. The orange VLAN. Let's go to laptop. We go to config. Go to fast Ethernet. We give an IP address, and the IP address is 10.0.0.11. Okay, .11, and it's 255. And it's 255.0.0.0. Okay. So we now go to the other VLAN, the green VLAN, or the accounts people, if you like. We go to accounts and repeat the process. Am I talking too fast?
Yes, sir.
Am I talking too fast? Or moving too fast? Are we okay? Are we okay?
You're moving too fast.
I'm moving too fast. Yeah. I know it's because I want us to complete in configuring the router before time runs out. So I'll try and balance. I'll try and balance. So we go to, I'm now on the right hand side. We want to configure the IP addresses for PC3 and PC4, and they belong to the 20.00 network. All right, so we go to fast Ethernet. The IP address is 20.0.0. Let's start it from 10. Okay, the ones on the left, we used 1 and 2. Let's say this one is starting from 10. They belong to the same network. That's why we're using 20. It's the same VLAN, so the IP address need to be similar. Right? Not the same because it's a host within that network. Okay, but similar. Network IDs are the same. All right, there you go. So that is PC3. We do the same for PC4. So this is done. So we do the same for PC4. Config, fast Ethernet. The IP address for PC number 4, this one here, is 20.0.0.11. Okay, .11, and the mask is 2255, like that. Okay, there we go. So you can actually hover just to confirm what you have. The IP addresses you can see that is 10.0.0.10, right? For PC2, for laptop 0, all right, is 10.0.0.11, okay, and for PC3 is 20.0.0.10, and PC4, right, is 20.0.0.11. And remember I told you, when you are submitting, you need to do this. You need to hover over the device for me to see the configuration, all right, and then you take this screenshot. Yeah, I will not accept you just lighting, lighting it as a Word document, as text. Okay, I want you to capture. You capture the screenshot of showing what the configuration is on your devices. You do that. That is the complete design. Okay. Yeah, right. Now the next thing we want to do is to connect these two switches, and because they are like devices, we'll use a crossover cable. So we pick crossover cable. We go and connect this to. Now we can use, remember, the only two choices, either port 1 or port 2. Those are the trunk ports to do the tagging, the tagging, with the flame tagging. So I'll use one. So I take port 1 on this side. I go to the other switch and I use port number 1 also. Okay, like that. All right, like that. But before I test across, let's first of all test within this switch. So PC2 to talk to laptop 1. So as before, I go to PC2 and move it to the. We are testing the right network. All right. So let's see whether the HR people can talk to HR people. We go to desktop. We go to command prompt. Okay. And we want to ping. This is a network 10, but the device we want is 10.0.0.11. 0.0.0.11. Okay. .11, and you can see it is replying. So PC2 is talking to laptop 1. Okay. Now, when we are here, let's try to get the HR to talk to accounts. So when you have PC2, we try and ping PC3. So we want to ping 20. PC3 is 20, is the other VLAN, right? Obviously, they should not talk to each other, but let's see, 20.0.0.10, right? PC3 is .10, like that, right? And you can see, there are no replies. You wait, and the request gets timed out. Okay, it does a reasonable waiting time, and then it doesn't get any acknowledgement, and then it times out. Yeah, and of course, maybe for completeness, let's make sure that PC3 can talk to PC4. All right, so this is PC3. And what you want to do, PC3 is the other VLAN, that is the VLAN 20. VLAN 20 talk to each other on the same switch. So we go to PC3 and say ping 20.0.11, because PC3 is .10, right, and PC4 is .11, right. So if you do that, we can see they talk to each other. Okay, so let me now close this. What we now want to try is to see whether the HR people in the admin block can talk to the HR people in the Frida Brown Center, all right, across, all right. And there's this cable that connects, running all the way from admin, okay, all the way to, but obviously it is more than 100 meters, all right. And if you're using UTP, remember the maximum distance is 100 meters, all right, and therefore you need to use a repeater along the way, right? You might need 2 repeaters to re-amplify the signal. But all the same, let's then go to PC0, and we want to PC0 to ping. I want to put this somewhere we can see. Okay, we might be able to see both. We want PC0 to ping PC2. Okay, across. Now, what is PC2? It's 10.0.0.10. So let's try and ping that from the left-hand side. So we want to ping 10.0.0.10. I missed the first 10. 10.0.0.10, like that. Let's see what happens. And clearly you can see the HR people in the admin block are able to talk to the HR people in the Frida Brown Center. Eh? Okay, remember this is PC0. PC0 is sitting on the left network. It is pinging. It's pinging 10.0.0.10, and 10.0.0.10 is PC2, which is in Frida Brown Center. Eh? You're getting an acknowledgement. Okay. Suppose the laptop wanted to retrieve a file sitting on the server, and the server is in the admin block. So if you go to the laptop here, all right, that's our laptop. We want the laptop to talk to the server. I think I can place it somewhere there. So we get the prompt of the laptop on the right-hand side there. All right. I think, yeah, that's correct. So laptop to talk to the server. Eh? So we want to ping. Of course, I will not retrieve a file. I'm not going to use FTP, just to show that they are talking to each other. So we do a ping. The server is a 10.0.0.1, not .2, sorry. The server is .2, eh? That's the way we configured it, eh? 10.0.0.2, all right? And hopefully we should get a reply, and we do. You can see that, eh? Okay, you can see that. So we're able to conclude that that the admin, the people, the VLAN in the admin block can talk to the VLAN in the Frida Brown Center can talk to the VLAN in the admin block. Okay, the admin, and of course it's also true for VLAN 20. Yeah, we just do one test for VLAN 20. And the way we do that is we get a PC4 to talk to PC1. All right, 4 to talk to 1, eh? Because it's the same VLAN, eh? All right, they're the same VLAN. Right, so if I now, let me place this one here so that we see what we're doing. So it is 4. 4 is in the admin block. Okay, so we need to actually go there, which is this. This is PC4. And we go to its prompt. We want to ping. It is pinging. Yeah, I need to move this a bit like this. It's pinging PC1, eh? And PC1 is a 20.0.0.0.1. Okay, it's pinging 20.0.0.1 like that. That's the one it wants to ping, eh? And you can see it's actually able to do that. Okay, it's able to do that. Obviously, if PC4 wants to talk to the server, it can't. Okay, well, let's see it. So if you do ping 10.0.0.1, in other words, this is a HR person. They're trying to get access some material that is sitting on a server, and the server is in the HR. Okay, it's accounts trying to access a server that belongs to the account people, and of course, an account person. PC4 is accounts. Account person in Frida Brown Center is trying to talk to a server that belongs to HR, and that server is in the admin block. Okay, and these two should not be able to talk to each other, right? And you can see, after waiting for a while, you'll get some replies telling you that it has timed out. Okay, it doesn't get any replies. Okay, so I think that is really illustrates the concept of trunking. Sorry, the concept of VLANs and the concept of trunking. Eh? So when you're getting these replies here, what's happening on this dotted line here, this crossover cable, what is happening is that tagged frames, right? Green, let's use that analogy. Eh? The green and orange frames are traveling together, and yet they belong in different networks. Eh? Okay, they belong in different networks, and that is the reason. I think now we can try and answer the question that who was asking the question? Miriam, is it Miriam? Not Miriam. Who was asking me that question? How can we make them talk to each other? Eh? Okay, and the way we do this, please remind me. Please remind me. The person who was asking me that question, eh? Is Aisha? I think it's Aisha.
Aisha.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So Aisha, now we want to answer your question, eh? You're still with me, eh, Aisha?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
great,
sir.
great. Yeah. So we now want the HR to talk to the account people. Right now they can't. So for them to talk to each other, we need to do routing. So now you create a half router or a router sitting on a stick. Right? It's called a router on a stick. Basically, the reason why you think of it that way is there's only one connector, right, connected to one port on the router. Okay, just a name, to make it different from regular routing. Okay, rather than having two. Because if you're connecting two networks, you need two physical interfaces, the left and right interface. Okay, so let's now go and create a router. So we go here. We grab a router. Let's say we pick, I don't know, 2901. This one here. We'll place it directly above this. Above this. Okay. Yeah, right. So let's now connect. Go and get a connector, a straight through connector. Can someone tell me which port we're going to use on the switch? Can someone tell me which port are we going to use on the switch to connect to the router?
2.
Ah, right. Who gave me the answer?
This is Joke.
That's Joel, Joke. Yeah, Joke, you are right. We're going to use 2. Do you want to explain to class why that is the reason? Joke? Why 2?
Yeah, yes. 2 is for LAN, and we have already used 1, so 1 can't be used again, and we have only 1, which is only 3.
Right. So we only have 1 trunk remaining, We only configured 2, right? That's what you're saying,
Yes, because 1 is already used.
Exactly, yeah. We had 2 trunk ports. We have used 1 to connect the 2 switches. So the only remaining trunk port, whose mode is trunk, is a 2. So we go to this switch and we pick 2. We pick port number 2, which is a trunk port, and we connect that to one of the interfaces on the switch, right? So please note on the router, sorry, this half router, please note the one I've picked is a gigabit Ethernet 0001. So you choose one of these. You are at liberty to choose one of them. But if you do, when you're creating the sub-interfaces, we have to be consistent. We have to be consistent. So let's choose 00, the first one available. Let's choose 00 like that. Okay. So that means this router is connected. This is a half router and is connected using the 00. So let's now create sub-interfaces on this router. Now, how do we do that? I'll take you back to the introduction, intro notes that I gave you, all right? And on the router, this is what we need to do. These are the commands, the commands that we need to issue. So the first thing we'll do is to click this sub interface. Okay, we're using 00 actually, so this will be 00.1. Then you do this encapsulation.1 queue, and we specify which VLAN, right, is sitting. So this is what we'll do. Let me just explain. We'll use 0.1 for the first VLAN, so that will be VLAN 10. All right. Then the other sub interface, which will be 0.2, it will be for the other VLAN, which will be VLAN 20. Okay, that's what we are doing. Okay, that's what we're doing. All right, so let's go and now do this. So we go back to the router. We go back to the router. Here we are. So go to router here. Go to config. Go to CLI. All these have to be done in the command line interface. All right. Go to CLI. It asks you this question, so make sure that you don't give a yes. If you say yes, you'll answer many questions. Just say no. All right. You don't want to enter the initial configuration dialog. You say no, and press again. Yeah, once more, so that you get to the right place. So let's enable the router. All right. If it was password protected, it will now tell you, can you give me the password? Okay. I think I've said a number of times that in the field, in the real world, routers are protected so that you don't get people coming to reconfigure your network. Right? They are protected resources, and they have passwords. Anyway, so there we go. So let's config. We do config terminal as usual. Config T to get to the configuration mode. We don't want to go to the interface. Now, this is a gigabit Ethernet. So I will write here gigabit. If the router you used is a fast Ethernet, you replace this word gigabit with fast Ethernet, or just shortcut FA. Okay, FA meaning it's running at 100 megabits per second. This one is running at 1,000 megabits per second. Okay. Anyway, so gigabit and the interface is 0/0. But I want to go to the subinterface.1. Okay. This is where I want to go. So that's what I do. And you can see the configuration mode changes. I go to a sub interface. All right. I go to a sub interface. Now, what do you want to do? We then issue, let me show this again. The next one is this. This is the next command you need to issue. Okay, and capsulation.1q, but it's VLAN 10, not 20. It's just a design, the design feature we are saying. We'll use the subinterface.1 for the first VLAN, which is 10, and then .2 we use 20. All right, we use 20. So let's go and do that. So we come here. We go back to our router. So we do encapsulation, make sure that you spell this correctly. Encapsulation dot 1q, and the VLAN is 10, like that. Okay, encapsulation dot 1q, and the VLAN is 10. So you do that, and you see it accepts. It accepts, telling us that it actually identifies that. The next thing you want to do is to give it an IP address. So you can move this way. We want to give it an IP address. This is not the IP address we're using, okay? Because we're using network 10 and network 20, class A. So we need to be consistent. So we then come. Remember, the IP address we're giving the router interface is the same one is the same technique you've been doing, to make two networks talk to each other. So one interface on the router belongs to, that leg belongs to the network is attached to. So you give it an IP that looks like a host. It is just like a host within that network. So that is really what you're doing. All right? It's the same concept. So we give IP address, an IP address, like that. So this is what you're doing. Just follow this. That's what you're doing. So IP address, the address is 10.0.0. Some number. Oops.
You're writing it wrong.
10.
Yeah, I didn't go to the right place. IP address. Yeah, here we are not in the right place. So it's 10.0.0. Now I think what we'll do, just type here the last possible IP address, just in case you need to glue the other sub interface, the other hosts, right? On the two switches, switch A and B, we're already using 10. It might glow, all right? So just make sure that the last possible number, all right, is given to the router. I'll use 254. Please note you can't use 255 because that is a broadcast address. Then we need to give it the mask, okay? And the mask is 255 with 3 zeros. Those are class A. All right. It's a class A. So 255.0.0.0 like that. So we do that. So that sub interface on the router is now properly configured. Okay. We now go to the other. So we exit so that we can go to the parent of this mode. We exit that sub interface. We then go to the other interface. The interface on my gigabit interface, gigabit FA, gigabit 0/1. Okay, the other interface is 0/1. The first one was 0/0. This one is 0/1. Now, oh no, I'm sorry about this. It's still the same. I'm sorry about this. It's very easy to get to confuse these things. It is the same. It is still the same physical interface, but you're creating a sub-interface on it, which is .2. All right. So it is still 0/0. Remember the cable you connected the cable to 0/0. So it is the same physical cable. The same physical port. But on it we are creating. You can think of it as a virtual. It's a virtual interface, okay? But the technical term is sub-interface. So the sub-interface is called 0.2 on it, right? We need space. Wait, what did we do? I'm missing R interface. I'm missing my R interface gigabit like that. So that's okay. The next thing is to encapsulate that. To make sure that it can carry tagged frames. So we do encapsulation. We do encapsulation .1q, .1q, and we specify the VLAN. The VLAN on this new interface is the other VLAN, which is 20. All right. So this is the command we issue. This one here, encapsulation .1q VLAN 20. Okay, that's what we need to do. And then we give an IP address for this one. IP address. Make sure that all your spellings are right. And remember, this is now the IP address. This is the other interface belonging to the other VLAN. So it starts with the 20. Is the network 20.0.0. And then the actual host on this, we will make it 254. The last one varied on that one. Please note, if you put 20 here and 20 above, is still fine. 20.0.0.20 is still fine because you have not used. I'm just telling you, in the real world, this is generally what you do. You use the last unused, the last possible hosts on it. Anyway, so we do that, and then the mask is 255.0.0.0 like that. 3 zeros. Okay. Now we are almost done with our router. So the only thing we need to do before we leave the router is to go back and do routing. We still need to do routing. How do we do that? Well, you go to RIP as you usually do and tell it that it has two networks. There is the network. It has a network called 10.0.0. Nimrod. Yeah, 10.0.0.0. Okay, is one network. All right, and the other network is 20. Please note this to accept, because you're not doing subnetting, we'll be able to complete at the GUI. 20.0.0.0. Like that is the other network. Like that. Okay. So this one, you don't have to go to the CRI to complete. If you're using a subnetting, you'll have to come, because it doesn't accept subnets at this point. You'll have to come here and complete. But this one is okay as it is. So that completes that process. So the router is done. One final thing, as we usually do, is on our design, we need to give all these hosts a gateway. Right now, they don't have gateways. So that is the last step we need to do. So let's come and do that. So what is the gateway for this VLAN? It will be the IP address that belongs to them. All right. So we come and go to PC0. We go to config. We go to settings. We go to gateway, and the gateway for VLAN 10, all the machines that are in VLAN 10, their gateways are 10.0.0.254. The interface on the router, the sub-interface sitting on the router. Okay, so that's what we need to do. So it's 10.0.0.254. Let me carry this. I'll use it throughout, and that's it. That's it. That is the gateway. So that's the last step we need to do. The server, the same. They need the server needs this is network 10, and it uses this. That is 10.0.0.254. That is its gateway. I think everybody understands this. It's the same concept of gateways we've been using. Okay. Then I configure these two, their gateways is the other subinterface. This one is using the subinterface 0.1. This one will be using the subinterface 0.2. Right? And .2, the IP address on .2 is starting with 20. Is 20. The subinterface on .2 for the accounts VLAN is 20.0.0.254 on the router, right? On the router. So that is the gateway, and for laptop the same. The gateway is 20.0.0.254. Okay, like that. And then we come to the right hand side. Okay, the laptop. Not laptop, the PC2, the gateway is a 10.0.0.254. Please don't, it's the same concept. This is the HR VLAN, and they are sitting on the subinterface. For them to, in terms of where they belong, right? There's the same VLAN as the subinterface here, up here, that is 00. The 00.1 subinterface, this one here, okay? And therefore, when you're giving the gateway, it will be 10.0.0.254, all right? Although they are sitting on the other switch. So on this switch, all right, on this switch, we give the gateway as 10.0.0.254 for the HR. We do the same for the laptop. Okay, laptop config settings. And the gateway is 10.2.0.254, right? 254. And then finally, for the account, the other VLAN, the VLAN 20, all right? VLAN 20, we do the same. That is in the Frida Brown Center, config, settings, and the gateway is now 20, 20.0.0.254, okay? That's the gateway. And finally, the last PC4, the same. I've gone to PC4. You go to its settings. You go to gateway, locate gateway, and we give it the IP address 20.0.0.254. Okay. So it is in the same. The network of this is in the same. The subnet the subnet 0/0.2. I think we have not enabled the port on this we have not enabled the port on the router. So we come here. You go to config. You go to let me enlarge this a bit so you see where the ports are. You go to 00 interface, and you can see the port is not on yet. You switch on this port like this. So that port is on, and hopefully, they should all now turn green. Should all turn green. I think we're almost done. Actually, we are done. So can we now try the HR people to talk to the account people? We'll first of all start with the ones in the admin block. So PC0 to talk to PC1. Okay, so we come here, we go to, let me do that. We go to desktop, command prompt. I know our time has really run out, so, but let's do this final test. PC0, which is 10.0.0.1, is pinging what? Is pinging 20.0.0.1. Okay, 20.0. Remember before they couldn't talk, Now they should be able to. 20.0.0.1, this one is this, and it's in another VLAN, And the only way they can talk is if the frames, first of all, travel to the router, the half router. The router does the routing using RIP, all right? It changes the brown frames to green. They travel back, and then they are acceptable by PC1, all right? That is the only way they can talk to each other. Well, let's see whether this is going to work. So we have a timeout. The first one is a timeout, but after that, we have three replies came in correctly, and one reply was not right, as it was trying to do for the routing algorithm to converge. Okay, you can try again to see whether you can get 100% success rate, and this time, yes, all the packets are going live correctly. Yeah, there's no loss. Yeah, you can see that. So, are you now convinced that you can create VLANs, and they talk to each other correctly? Can you all see that? I know we have moved a bit fast, right? A bit fast,
Yes.
but that's how we do it. Yeah? Now, I think, is it Betty? There's a Betty who had asked whether you can use any numbers, and that is true. For this the one we are doing, you can use any numbers, yeah? All right? But for the ones that you are answering, I'll accept anything other than the 10 and 20, yeah? Because I don't want you to submit this one we have just done together, eh? So 10 and 20 will not be acceptable. Any others will be fine, eh? All right, as long as you do the configuring so that they all talk to each other nicely. Okay, yeah, and just to complete, in terms of conceptually, if these networks want to talk to the rest of the world, this router, you can now use the other interface, the 01 interface. You can have another network here, all right, that connects to the interface 0/1, eh? All right, and therefore traffic coming from these VLANs can go to the rest of the world. And from the rest of the world, they can arrive down here, eh? Right? They can arrive down here correctly. Okay, I need to stop because I think we've borrowed just too much time from your time, and I also have a class that's coming up in about 5 minutes. Eh? So are we all good? Are we all good? We stop at this point?
Yes.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So if you have any questions, because I know there might be some, you can email. You can put them in our WhatsApp group. I'll try and respond because, like I said, I know we've moved a bit fast. But this should kind of guide you in trying to answer that lab number 5. Complete that lab number 5. And just for completeness, please note lab 5. Let me just highlight it again. Lab 5 contains several things. You need to do all these things in this lab. Including yeah, right here. So you can see you are answering this. You have these two switches, right? But they are organized this way. All right. You create this as part of the lab, right? And you're submitting everything in this lab number 5. I think someone wanted to ask a question very quickly before we stop the meeting.
Yes. It's just a heads up that I need to be added on the WhatsApp group.
Oh, you're not. Oh, I can't remember who is our admin. Our admin, can you please broadcast? Just put it on the chat line down there, if you can.
Okay.
I hope he's still here. He hasn't gone. Yeah. So I think you'll be able to pick it. Yeah. Make sure that you join because there are some announcements we do.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Bye bye, everybody. I think I really need to learn for my next class. Is that okay?
Is the video available?
Hello?
Like the video, is it available?
We'll make the video available of this lab. I'll make it available so that you can follow at your own pace. Is that okay? All right. Bye bye, everybody.
Okay, thank you, sir.
All right. See you next week.